All right, let's talk about DBAs, how you can use them in your business, how they interact with LLCs. I'm going to talk about two main problems I see with DBAs and how to overcome them. And if you stick around to the end, I'm going to tell you the absolute best formula and setup for your business to make sure that you own your name and you are protected in it. So stick around and I'm going to go through all of that for you. All right, first, got to figure out what is the DBA. It stands for doing business as. All that means is you're using a name for your business other than your legal name. So if you have an ABC LLC and your business is called anything else, you could file a DBA. Or let's say you have no LLC, you're what's called a sole proprietor, you have no corporation, no LLC, you are just an entrepreneur trying to start a side business and you've not filed anything, but you came up with a business name. You might file a DBA out of that. So how do you register your DBA? Each state can be a little bit different, but this is the gist of it. You will go to your Secretary of State and file a form that says DBA. It's a DBA form. Some states call them fictitious names or assumed name or trade name. You can figure that out on your Secretary of State website. I live in Charleston, South Carolina. Our state has no filing at all, so we have to figure out ways around it to connect them. But each state's a little bit different. If you're using a different name, go register that DBA. Let's talk real quick about different ways that you might use them. So we talked about being a sole proprietor and you have a different name that you're using. You file that as a DBA so the Secretary of State knows you're using that name. But also you could be an LLC with many different DBAs. So one cool example is Mars Inc. They own like all the candy bars that you like pretty much. Reese's, Snickers, Baby Ruth. All those are different names under the same corporation. So you can have different brand names out of the same LLC, and that's one good way to do it. DBAs have two problems that we see over and over again. The first one is a DBA doesn't provide any liability protection. What that means is your personal assets are at risk, and we'll talk more about that in just a second. The second one is when you file a DBA, you don't get any name rights with that name. So you file it thinking, oh, well, I own this name, but you don't. So let's take the first problem. It's no liability protection. So you're running your business, starting to make some money, and someone has some sort of problem with you. You injured them, or you caused them to lose money, or you owe them money, or whatever it is. When they sue you, when you don't have an LLC and you just have a DBA, you're a sole proprietor with just a DBA, they are suing for your personal assets. And that's just the way it is, because there's no difference between your DBA and your personal assets. And potentially, if you're married, that'll be like your marital assets. They'd be going after your personal life and your lifestyle and that sort of, and anything you've saved up. So that is a very scary proposition. If you're doing that, you need to go get an LLC right now. You can use drafted legal for your LLC, and you need to fix that problem, because that to me is one of the biggest things that stop my breath as a lawyer. What if you get sued and you're going after your personal assets? So there's no reason to leave yourself vulnerable. So what does it look like if you do have an LLC? All right, you file an LLC, you get it, then you're getting sued. Well, they're not suing your personal assets. They're not trying to go sell your car or get to your brokerage account or your home or your jewelry or anything like that. They can only sue that LLC if the LLC caused the problem. So whatever's in this LLC, whatever assets, bank account, yeah, that's vulnerable, and that's not that great, but it is much better than my whole life being a target. So get that LLC and make sure that it provides that protection. So the takeaway is just know that a DBA doesn't do any of that. A DBA is just a name. It does not create any separation between you and your business. Only an LLC or a corporation would do that. The second problem that we see is you file, you go on the Secretary of State, you file your DBA, and you see someone else using a name that's sort of similar. You say, no, that's my name, but you're wrong. It is not your name. It's just what the Secretary of State calls you. You have no rights in that name at all. You can't tell someone else. You can't tell someone else to, or you have no rights in that because you filed the DBA. The way you get rights in that is by filing a federal trademark. And that's when you can call people and say, that's my name, stop using it now, or else we're going to have to make you stop using it. So that's the other kind of misconception. You'll see people thinking that they own their name when really they don't own their name. So those are, kind of the two big problems we see. But I'm going to show you exactly how to overcome those problems with the best formula, we think, because it's very simple. So first is get an LLC. You can name your LLC the exact name as your business. So I'll use Drafted Legal, this business. Our LLC is Drafted Legal, LLC. Because it's the same name as our business, we did not have to file a DBA. But even if, let's say it was different, say it was Wesley Henderson LLC, I could still file a DBA, Drafted Legal, and that's perfectly fine. But as long as you get an LLC, with or without the DBA, but make sure it has, your business name is in one of them, then that solved that liability protection aspect. The second part is when your business is ready, so when you're making money, I want you to go get a trademark, because that value that you own in your name can't be protected without that trademark. The third part of this is you want to make sure that your domain name, your social handles and all that stuff is available. So for Drafted, we went through several different names. I fell in love with other names before we ended up on Drafted Legal, and you can see we've got the website's draftedlegal.com, the trademark we have, the LLC is nice and simple. Makes everything very simple, very protected. It's very clean and crisp. So if you can do that, that's a great way to do it. At a minimum, make sure you own your name and then you have liability protection. One other point, just real quick to make, is that let's say you're going to sell your business one day. You might sell a website or just sell your business. Having this structure that we just talked about, where your LLC owns the trademark and you have a very clean setup, makes your business really more valuable. If you ever watch Shark Tank, they say, what do you own? Like, do you own your patent? Do you own your trademark? They want to see that you own that name, because if it's a website, let's say, then that name is a large part of the value of the business. So you want to have this nice, clean thing to sell. And whenever you're a buyer, you're really worried about, like, okay, can I spend all this money on this website? What happens if this, and this? And you're erasing some of those fears and some of those doubts as you're selling it. So hopefully you can get those multiples of, like 36 to 50x multiples on these websites that are going for these days. So it also helps, it's not only a cleaner, better liability protection, but if you end up selling it one day, it's packaged in a much cleaner way that gives a buyer a lot more comfort when they're making that purchase. So if you have any other questions, please drop them below on how to use a DBA, any kind of peculiar scenarios you might have. We'll do our best to respond. If you're looking to start a business, go to draftedlegal.com/start. We have a great legal checklist for you to start your business. I hope that's really helpful. Best of luck.